Okay, so what I'm going to do today, for the college algebra part, because this is college algebra and college algebra with support. However, there are 1, 2, 3, it looks like 4 students on the roster that are just doing the college algebra part. So if you are just in college algebra only, then your class is just from 12:15 to 1:30. If you're on college algebra with support, then you have the college algebra from 12:15 to 1:30, and then you have support from 1:40 to 2:30. But support is only on Mondays and Wednesdays. So the class is Monday, Wednesday. Oh, no. Wait, are y'all just Monday, Wednesday? Did I get that all the way wrong? Y'all are just Monday, Wednesday, aren't you? I got that all the way wrong. So yeah, 12:15 to 1:30 for college algebra, and then 1:40 to 2:30 for the support. Okay, so what I'm going to do today, first of all, is I'm going to go over here to the computer, and I'm just going to show you where to go to access everything. Okay, so that's why I have it dark in here. I'm just trying to get it to be as visible as it can. If you have your laptop, you can also go and do exactly what I'm saying to be able to see where it's going. So the first thing I'm going to do is just log into my campus portal. And I'm just, whoops. And I'm assuming that y'all have already done this since y'all are in the class. They either used the link that I sent you an email, or you went straight to this Blackboard link. Sorry, my screen is doing something funny. Hard to see. Okay, but you would go straight to this Blackboard link to get to all your classes. So you would click on the college algebra section 02, which will be your only math course that's listed. And the first thing I'm going to go through is I'm going to go over the syllabus. So if you want to be able to see it better, I'm about to click on this college algebra with support syllabus. And it's going to download it, and then I'm going to open it up. It's going to be harder to see. And again, this will be one of the only times that I'm using this like this and sharing that screen. For the most part, I will be actually writing on this board, and it'll be light in here. Okay, so this will be, it's hard to see this, but once we get to regular material, it'll be a lot more visible for you. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this syllabus. So if you want to follow along, click on your syllabus. And it'll download it onto your computer. And again, I know it's small, but I'm just going to read through it and hit some high points for you. Okay. First of all, my name is Shelly Hanson. I will be the instructor for this class this semester. My office location is in the IT building in room 409, room B. My office hours are on Mondays and Wednesdays from 8 to 9. And then on Fridays from 8 to 9, 10 to 10:50, and from noon to 1:10. My office phone is 812-2708. But by far the best way to get in touch with me is with my email address, which again you'll see on the syllabus, and it's sohanson@uaptc.edu. Okay, so this course is a webinar course, which means every Monday, Wednesday will be live Zoomed, just like we're all doing right now, from 12:15 to 1:30 for the college algebra part, and then 1:40 to 2:30 for the support part. Okay, and again, there are 4 students that do not have this support part. The Zoom link is available in your Blackboard shell, okay, which I'm assuming is how most of you got here this time. Okay, so going through this syllabus, I'm going to skip a lot of it because a lot of it is just stuff that's in all the syllabuses. The first thing I want to talk about is the course materials. The course materials for this course, the book and all the assignments and the My Math Lab and all that was included in the tuition that you paid for this course. Okay, so there's no extra book to buy or anything like that. The only thing that you would need to purchase outside of this course would be a TI-84 calculator or a TI-84 plus calculator. If by chance you have an older version like a TI-83 or 83 plus, it should work just fine for you, okay? There may be a couple of things in different spots. There may be 1 or 2 things it's not capable of doing, but it will, what just happened? What in the world? I don't know why that happened. Okay, so the only thing again will be the TI-84 calculator. Okay, scrolling through. Down to the meat of the syllabus, which is starting with on page 7, the UA-PTC Attendance Policy. This is a math course, okay? We will be building on things every day that we did the previous section, right? That's how math works. You learn a skill and then you use it to build on and learn the next skill. So I will be taking attendance every day, okay, by who's available in Zoom, okay? Now, there is a course agreement that's going to be, and we'll get to that here in just a second. It's going to be the very first assignment that you're going to see in Math Lab. Okay, we'll get to that in just a second, and that's going to be due, actually in my course, it'll be due this Sunday. But we're all going to do it together here in a minute anyway. Don't need the COVID safety measures since we're not on campus, or you're not. All right, getting to grade distribution. Your final exam will be worth 20% of your overall grade. It will be comprehensive, but the people that attend class regularly and do all the work do very well in the final, okay? The tests are going to make up the majority of your overall grade. They're worth 40% of your overall grade, okay? Your homework and quizzes will be worth 30%. You're going to have 15 for homework and 15 for quizzes. Now, your participation and attendance. It is 10% of your grade, which doesn't sound like a lot, but 10% is going to be a full letter grade. What that is going to be, I'm going to take it all by participation. And the participation grade comes from the discussion boards that I'm going to put into your content folders that are in Blackboard. Again, I'm going to show, that's what today is about. I'm showing you where all this stuff is going to be located for you. Okay. All right. Your homework, that's where your attendance and participation are going to come from, is your discussion boards. Your homework, your quizzes, your tests, and your final exam are all going to be located in my Math Lab. Okay, and I'll show you how to access that in just a second. Your homework can be done an unlimited amount of times. Okay, you can go into homework and look at how many you got right, how many you got wrong. If you have a red X next to something, just go re-click on it and work it again. You can do that over and over until you get 100% on every homework assignment. Okay, your quizzes also can be worked an unlimited amount of times. But the difference between the homework and the quizzes is if you get a grade on a quiz that you don't want or you don't like, say you made a 70 on it, and you're not happy with that. So you want to go in and take it again. Unlike the homework, on the homework, you'd be able to go back in and just go to the problems that you got wrong. On the quiz, if you want to rework it, you got to rework the whole quiz. Okay, which is not a bad idea. So say you worked the quiz 3 times and you made a 70 the first time, an 85 the second time, and then the third time you make a 55. Something happened or whatever, and you just didn't do good. The only grade that the grade book is going to record was that highest score. The 55 and whatever I said for the other low one was, will not, it's only going to take that 85. Okay. All right, let's move on to the tests. There are 4 tests given in this class. They're also in Math Lab, just like everything else. You cannot work the test again. They can only be worked 1 time. Okay, so the best course to do of action is to rework that quiz that comes right before the test multiple times until you get the grade you want, because what you're going to notice is when you open up that test, it's going to be very similar to that quiz that you just took several times. Okay, the only thing that's going to be different between the quizzes and the test is the test will just have different numbers than the quizzes did. It's going to have the same type of problems. Okay, now I don't drop any tests, but I do replace your lowest test score with the percentage that you get on your final exam. Okay, so this final exam that's at the end of the semester will be comprehensive. It'll be 2 hours long. You won't need that much time. It'll be multiple choice, and you will have a study guide to go by. Okay. Now, the makeup and late policy, every single due date this whole entire semester is going to be Sundays at midnight. Whatever we cover during the week on Monday and Wednesday, those are the assignments that are going to be due on that Sunday at midnight. I'm not going to change things up. There will never be due dates on Tuesdays and Wednesdays and Thursdays. Nothing like that. It just saves the confusion. It makes everything straightforward. If we did it during the week, it's due that Sunday at midnight. Okay. Now, if for some reason you didn't get something done, there will be a 0 put in its place. But here's what I want you to do. I want you to contact me as soon as possible. Okay. Because I still want you to be able to do that work, especially if it's a quiz or a test. Okay. Because I don't want you to not be able to do something. I want you to contact me as soon as possible, and we can talk about if we need to open it back up and give you another day or 2 or something like that. But that's going to be your responsibility to get in touch with me if you do unintentionally miss a due date. Okay. The main times I see this happen is if somebody waits till Sunday night and then their internet doesn't work or something like that. There's always things that happen, right? Things come up, life happens. So just make sure you contact me as soon as possible if you do miss a due date. All right, the next page on page 12 is the course schedule. So each day or each week is listed out here. Here's the due dates that they're going to be. So this week we're covering the syllabus 2.1 and 2.2. And those sections are going to be due August 29th, which is this Sunday. Every single one of these dates is a Sunday. If we covered it during the week, it's due the following Sunday or that Sunday at midnight. Every single week. Okay, now this does, if I scroll back up, it does say tentative course schedule, right? Because sometimes we get behind, sometimes we don't get to what we need to get to. I tend to make this a little heavy up front because the reason I do that is for two reasons. It lets us lighten up the load at the end. So that way, if we do get behind, we have days at the end where I can move stuff to. And also, this right here is when the majority of students are the most motivated they're going to be for the entire semester, especially if you just got out of high school, or if you just took summer off from school, you're rested, you're ready to go, you're motivated. So let's get as much done while we're the most motivated as we can. Okay, so if something gets pushed back, then we just push it back. No big deal. All right, the final exam. Final exam weeks. The first day to final exam week is actually a Wednesday, December 8th. I will open up your final exam on Wednesday, December 8th. To avoid any confusion whatsoever, it will be open and available to you until Sunday, December 12th at midnight. That way I'm not making it due on a random Thursday, which makes it different than every single thing else that's been due the whole entire semester. Okay, just to keep everything always the same. It'll open December 8th. It'll close December 12th at midnight. Okay, there is a course agreement form on the last page, but I don't really even need you to do that, right? I just don't even worry about this because you're going to fill out the course agreement quiz in Math Lab, which is where I'm going to go now. So I'm going to go back to Blackboard. Hang on, I'm going to scoot this over. Sorry, I don't mean to be shaking it. Here's where I want you to focus, over here on these links. Okay, and if you can bring up Blackboard on your laptop or computer, that would help too, because you'll be able to see yours better. Underneath the course materials, there are three important links. There's one called course content. Then there's your college. This is the Zoom link that probably most of you, unless you use the email that I sent out last night, here's where you're going to go every single Monday and Wednesday at 12:15. You're going to click there to get into the Zoom. So that's where that link is. And then right underneath it is the MyLab student links. These three things right here are the three most important links of this course. So again, the Zoom link, which we just did, I'm going to click on course content right now. And let's see what's in there. When you open up course content, you should see a weekly folder for every single week of the semester. What's going to happen is on week 1, if I click on week 1, you're not going to see anything yet. There's nothing in there yet. The first thing I'm going to put right here this afternoon is I'm going to put your very first discussion board question, which remember, that is where you get your participation points, is answering the discussion boards. Now, they're not going to take much time. They're kind of grade boosters. So what this week's will be is an introduction. Like my discussion board question, I'll introduce myself and then ask y'all to introduce yourselves. Okay, so that's going to be the first thing you're going to see. Then I'm live Zooming and I'm recording it, which means it takes very little effort for me to turn my live Zoom that I've recorded into a YouTube video. So that's what I'm going to do every time I lecture. I'm going to record the Zoom, turn it into a YouTube video, put it in the weekly folder that it goes in. So I'm recording this one. So if you have any questions about what was talked about today, you just go back to the week 1 folder, click on that YouTube video, scroll back and forth until you get to the problem that you're having. Okay, So the things, again, that you're going to see in here are going to be discussion boards and then the videos that I do while I'm live Zooming. Sorry, came up on my. So that's what's going to be, again, that's your course content, all those weekly folders. So live Zooms go in each one of these, or there's your live Zoom, the YouTube videos, and the discussion board questions are going to be in your weekly folders throughout the whole semester. The other thing, here's where all your work is. This My Lab student links. Again, it's under course materials, the third one down. My Lab student links. So let's look what's in there. So everything you're going to work besides the discussion board is going to be in this My Lab Math, all assignments, every homework assignment, every quiz, every test, even the final exam are all located in the same spot. Okay, this is also where your book is if you wanted to open up your book, this My Lab Pearson e-text. Okay, so let's look at My Lab Math, all assignments. So far this week, we're going to have the course agreement. Everything that's due this Sunday at midnight is listed here. Now, you'll notice that some of the assignments say 2.1 support, 2.2 or support for 2.2. If you are not a support student, that means Joanna Jordan, then Jordan O'Donnell, Madison Sanders, and LaTanya Singleton. Y'all are the four that I do not have listed in my support class. You just needed college algebra. You do not work any assignments that say support. Okay, so those 4 students are the only ones in the class that do not work these. If you are in the support class, you work those. So those 4 students just do the ones that say section 2.1 and section 2.2. Okay, again, they're all due August 29th, this Sunday at midnight. Okay, so if you are in there right now, there is no reason to not click on course agreement and then click on start test. It's literally going to be a question that you look at and it says, I understand and agree. It just goes through kind of a syllabus checklist. Now, and the reason you have to do that is because, look, I'm just going to go through it real fast. I understand. So there's 6 questions. You just answer them and then hit submit. The reason you have to do that is because it will not let you go to this first section until you won't be able to get into any of your work until that course agreement is filled out and done. Okay? Does anybody have any questions so far? You can either ask me in chat. I have my chat open, so if you wanted to just ask in chat, you can ask in chat, or you can unmute yourself.
Quick question.
Go ahead.
Okay, so the people that's in the support class, we do all 4 assignments, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
That is correct. And the ones I'm actually going to do the support for 2.1 today. Oh, so Jordan, you're, I'll double check that, but you're in support also?
Yes, ma'am. I should be enrolled in the support.
Okay, I will double check that, but I had you circled as not, but I will definitely double check that.
Okay, I say because on my courses it says that I'm enrolled in it. So
Okay, I'll double check that.
okay, thank you.
Uh-huh. Okay, make sure you go back to mute.
The goals in your plan.
Can you
Hear me? Oh. Yeah, so make sure your mic is muted. Okay, so.
Oh. Okay. Yeah, hey, I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Molly.
I can't really see any
I
of the
know.
content on the screen.
I know. So
Are you able to like
let me
screen
show
share
you
by
what
any
it's gonna.
chance?
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I don't know, but I guess you're using a projector and your laptop, but I wasn't sure. The last teacher like screen shared and it was just all very clear and I could hear her really clearly. And I wasn't sure if you were able to,
So from
you're gonna be able to
here
see.
on out, let me show you what it's gonna look like. Okay, so for the rest of the classes, like if I'm teaching something, like say I'm solving an equation or whatever, let me get a better marker.
Okay.
What you're gonna be seeing.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna be much more light and clear. It'll be like you're just sitting in the classroom watching me work on the board.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, so it won't be that little bitty, yeah. I didn't know, I should have come up here last week or this weekend or something. The room that I'm using, because I have an on-campus class that ends right before this, so I don't have time to go home. So I'm just gonna use a classroom that's empty. And so this is what you're gonna be seeing most of the time. Okay, all right, so I'm going to take roll real quick for the college algebra part. I'm not going to get started in college algebra today. I'm going to get started in support today. So I'm going to teach the support lesson. So that way I'm teaching the support for 2.1 before we do 2.1 on Wednesday. Okay, but I still should be able to get, so we'll do support for 2.1 today. And we'll do support for 2.2 on Wednesday. And then we'll do 2.1 and 2.2. So let me go ahead and take roll. I have Andrew Holcomb, Brittany Honeysuckle, Gage Jones, Hope Garrison. Joanna Jordan, Jordan O'Donnell. Kevin Patel. Madison, what's your last name? Oh, I see. Sanders.
Sanders.
Sanders. Okay, got you. Madison Sanders. Molly Ratliff, Sydney Edmondson. Tanisha Turner, Zach. Zaria Carter. Okay. Okay, so I think I got everybody that is here. If I didn't call your name, let me know, but that's what's showing up on as participants. Okay, so if nobody has any questions about how the class is going to run and all that, again, if you look at your syllabus later on or whatever, and there's a question that you have, I know it was hard to see on there. But yeah, you're right. I should have just screen shared and tried to share it on the projector. I thought that projector was going to work a lot better. So if not, I'm actually going to go ahead and start the support for 2.1. So if you wanted to, you could go along and open up your support. You can't see anything? Oh, like you can't see me?
Yeah, I can't see you at all.
Everybody else sees me though?
Yeah, I can see you.
Huh. It may be something on when you did log into Zoom, it may ask to use video or something, because you should be able to see me. Maybe log out and log back, try to like come back in.
Okay, I could see you at first, and then it just went black.
Oh, I don't know what that is then. I don't know. Maybe go out and come back in and see if that works.
Okay.
Okay, so what I'm going to do now is go over the support for 2.1. I've actually got the homework printed off. So what I'm going to do is just go through these so that way when you go in to do your homework, you're going to have an example of everything that we've done. Okay, so you would just use the same steps that I use to solve your problems. Okay, so starting with number 1, this 2.1 is on graphing. So the support for 2.1 is going to go into the basics of graphing, learning how to plot points, knowing where points would be put on, whether they're on an x-axis, y-axis, and one of the quadrants, solving for y so that you can put things into your calculator correctly, things like that. Okay, the first question is going to go over pretty much just the parts of the graph. So when you're looking at a graph, it's got 2 number lines, one that goes left and right called the x-axis, and one that goes up and down called the y-axis. And before I go any further, if you are not in support, then you don't need to be logged in anymore. This is just support work. You will come back on Wednesday at 12:15 to start section 2.1. Okay, so each axis is a number line, starting with 0 in the middle for both of them. The x-axis goes left and right, positive this way, negative numbers that way. Same for the y-axis, up and down, positive up, negative down. So those are the axes. Then each of these open areas is called a quadrant. That's the first quadrant, and they put them in Roman numerals. That's the second, third, and fourth quadrants. What the first question says is determine whether the statement is true or false. The point -8, 0 is in quadrant 2 and quadrant 3. So let's talk about how we come up with these points and where they are located. Each point comes from what is called an ordered pair. Each ordered pair has an X coordinate, which tells you how far to go left and right. And it's also got a Y coordinate, which tells you how far to go up and down. So it's asking me, or it's saying the point -8, 0 is in quadrant 2 and 3. Is that a true or false statement? So when you're plotting a point, you always do both directions and then you leave your point at the end. So let's see. If I start right here in the middle, this is called the origin, and do these two directions. My X is -8, which tells me to go to the left 8 because I need to go into the negative side. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, I have to do the other movement before I drop my point. You do both movements. So I've done the -8 movement. Now my Y is 0, which tells me my second movement is actually telling me to not go up or down. So my second movement actually tells me to just stop right there. That's where that point would be. -8, 0. So it's saying that this point is in quadrant 2 and 3. You're only in a quadrant if you are in an open area. If you're a point that's on the x-axis or the y-axis, then you are not in a quadrant. You are on an this one's actually on the x-axis, which is what happens when your y coordinate is 0. Okay, so this answer, it would be false. It's not in quadrant 2 and 3 because the point is on an axis and not in a quadrant. Okay, so when you go in and do your homework problem number 1, it's going to be the same type of problem. This point is just going to be different. So you'll have to think about where your point is and then answer whether yours is true or false. Okay, number 2. Okay, determine whether this statement is true or false. The ordered pairs 7, -4, and -4, 7 name the same point. Well, this point's x is 7 and its y is -4. And this one flip-flopped it. Its x is -4 and its y is 7, which means it's not naming the same point. If I plotted those 2 points, this one would tell me to go to the right 7, then down 4. This would tell me to go to the left 4, and then up 7. So it's just wanting you to realize the x and y are not interchangeable. They don't tell you to do the same thing. This tells you your x coordinate is always telling you how far you're going left and right. So if I plotted these points, they're not going to end up at the same spot. So that one's also false. And it's false because one point is 7 units to the right, and the other point is 4 units to the left. Okay. All right, number 3. Now, 3, 4, and 5 are practicing solving equations for y. And here's the importance of that. Anytime you want to graph using your graphing calculator, you'll notice that this top button right here says y equals. So you want any equation that you are ever going to graph to start off going y equals, and then everything else is on the other side. So that's why learning how to solve for y is very important. For instance, if you are given this equation, like on number 3, 7x plus 3y equals 0. And it says write an equivalent equation, but if you're looking at the multiple choice, every single one of your options starts off looking like that, y equals, okay? So in other words, it wants you to get this y all the way by itself. So in order for this to be by itself, all this other stuff needs to go to the other side of the equal sign. So what we're doing is we're solving for y. And a good rule to always think about is the number that's hooked on to the y is going to be your very last thing to get rid of 100% of the time. Okay, so if I'm getting the y by itself, the first thing I need to get rid of is this positive 7x, and I want to undo it or knock it out. Okay, so the way I'm going to knock out a positive 7x is by a negative, or in other words, subtracting 7x. What's the rule of equations tell me I have to do? If I do something to one side of the equation, I have to do the same exact thing to the other side of the equation. So on the left, our whole point was to get rid of the 7x, right? So it cancels that out. All you're left with is 3y. There's your equals. I didn't have anything on this side. That's what 0 stands for. Nothing. I have nothing over there. But now I have a negative 7x over there because I had to do it to both sides. So there's where just my negative 7x is just going to come down. Now, if your number that you're trying to remove is hooked on to the y, the way you're going to get rid of anything that is hooked on to the y is you divide by exactly what it is. Okay, because this says 3 times y. So the way the opposite of multiplication is division. So to undo it and knock it out, I've got to divide by it. Again, if I do this side, I got to do this side. So that knocks out the 3. There's my y all by itself. This is just a fraction that doesn't reduce. So negative 7 over 3x doesn't reduce. So there's your answer. Y equals negative 7/3 x. Okay, 4 and 5 are going to be similar to this. It's going to be solving for y. Right? Number 4 says 10x minus 13y equals negative 10. And again, it says write an equivalent equation, but every single one of my options starts off with y equals. So in other words, it's asking me to get the y by itself. Again, the hooked on number goes away last. We don't worry about what's hooked on until the very last step. So let's get rid of this positive 10x with a minus 10x. So bring down all I'm left with. Don't forget that sign. I'm left with negative 13y equals. Now on the right side, I already had a negative 10 over there, and now I put a negative 10x over there. These are not like terms. If I was going to put those together, they'd have to either both be x's or both be just plain numbers. You can't put these terms together, which all that means is both of these terms are gonna come down, just as two, they're just gonna stay two separate terms. Now, a good rule of practice that I like to be in is when I'm solving for y, and I'm bringing down these two terms, and one has an x and one doesn't, it doesn't technically matter, but I always put the term with the x in the front and the other term that doesn't have the x in the back if I can't combine them. So I'm going to put the minus 10x here and then the minus 10 behind it. Again, if you put these flip-flop, it doesn't necessarily matter, but I'll tell you why when we get to the end that I do that. So just like the last problem, I have a number hooked onto the y. The way I'm going to remove it is divide by exactly what it is. I don't change any signs or anything like that. If it's a negative hooked on, that just means you're dividing by a negative, right? Because what's going to cancel out a negative 13 on top? A negative 13 in the bottom. That's what's going to turn it into a 1y, which is what you want. So if I do this over here, I've got to do the same thing over here. So let's see, that one cancels that one. There's my y all by itself equals. So now I've just created these fractions over here. So I just need to worry about whether or not they reduce or not. And let's see, a negative over a negative, first of all, turns to positive. And 10 over 13 does not reduce. So I'm just left with positive 10 over 13x. And here a negative over a negative is also turned to positive 10 over 13. So there's your final answer. Now, the reason I said I like to put my x term in front of my term that doesn't have an x is this is a certain form of an equation, and it's called slope-intercept form. And when we start graphing these lines, these two numbers mean something. And you may have heard this before, but if you put the x in front of the other term, your equation will end up in what's called slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b, where these are the 10/13ths in each spot. The x would come before the one that doesn't have an x, okay? It's not 100% necessary, just as long as you know what in future assignments, what those two numbers are doing. But again, a good practice to just get used to putting the x term in front of the other one. All right, one more like this, number 5. Solve the equation for y. We have 5x plus 8y equals 40. Solving for y. Remember, this goes away last. Let's get rid of the 5x. So I'm going to subtract the 5x. That gets rid of that 5x and just leaves me with 8y. On the right side, again, just like the last one, I have a term that has an x and then one plain term called a constant. I'm going to put the one, since they can't go together again, since they're not like terms, I'm going to put the one with the x in front. So I have a negative 5x and then positive 40. So plus 40. And just like all the other ones, what's hooked on goes away last. So I'm going to divide everybody by 8. That 8 cancels that one. So I just have my y. This created a fraction, so I just need to decide whether or not I need to reduce it or not. Negative 5 divided by 8 or negative 5 over 8 does not reduce. So just negative 5/8 x plus 40 divided by 8, that one does reduce, right? So 40 divided by 8 just reduces to positive 5. Now remember, a fraction bar just means the top divided by the bottom. So that's what we're doing there, right? The step is to divide by 8. If you are not certain whether or not a fraction reduces, okay, let's just look at a tip on this calculator. If you have your TI 83 or 84 out, so this -5/8, just type exactly what that says in. So this negative, remember the negative is below the 3. So -5. And remember the fraction bar just means divided by 8. If I'm not sure whether or not that reduces or not, just hit enter. It's going to give you some crazy decimal. Now hit this math button. When I hit the math button, this says, do you want to turn whatever that last number is in your calculator into its most reduced fraction form? That's exactly what I want to do. So I'm saying yes. So I just hit the enter button. And then it, I guess, doesn't think you're sure of yourself. So it says, sure, you want to turn this last answer into a reduced fraction. So hit enter again. Well, look what it tells me. It tells me -5/8, which is what it started off with, which just means that didn't reduce. Okay. But say this was, instead of -5/8, -4/8. So let's try that one. So do the same method, except -4/8. So -4 divided by 8. Then hit that enter button at the bottom. So -0.5. So I say, okay, I want to know what this is in its most reduced form. So the fastest way to think about it is just say math, enter, enter. You're just going to hit math and then hit the enter button twice. So math, enter, enter. So look what it said. It said, okay, there was your original fraction. When you hit enter, it just automatically put it as the decimal. And then you turn your decimal back into a fraction, but it's in its reduced form. So if you aren't sure whether or not your fraction reduces, just put the fraction in the calculator and then hit math, enter, enter. This one's not so bad. But there's some fractions that are huge and you have no clue whether or not they're in lowest form or not. So just put it in your calculator, hit math, enter, enter, and be done with it. It'll reduce it for you. Okay. All right. Moving on. Number 6. All right, on number 6, it's going to give you 4 ordered pairs and ask you to plot them all on the same axes. So mine ordered pairs are A is 3, 2. B is -8, 2. C is 0, -2. And D is 5, -4. Now, yours is going to be multiple choice, but you're going to have to probably draw it out to see where they all are going to land. Okay, so I'm going to plot all 4 of these points all on this same graph. So remember, each point has its own X coordinate and Y coordinate. So let's move these. Remember, you're always starting in the origin, moving the 2 directions, and then dropping that point after the second movement. So let's see. This one's X is +3. So I'll go to the right. 1, 2, 3. Don't put anything there. I still need to do the Y +2. So from there, since it's my Y movement, which tells me up or down, and it's +2. So from here, I would go up 1, 2. That's where that point would be. So that's where A would be. B is at -8. positive 2. So you're starting all over, brand new point. So this time my x is negative 8, so I'm going to go to the left 8 this time. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now my y is still positive 2, another positive 2, which means from there I'll go up 2. So that's where my b would be. To the left 8 and then up 2. See? Is at 0, negative 2. So again, starting in the middle at the origin, my first movement, this one's x is 0. I do have a movement, it just tells me to not go anywhere. Since my x is 0, I don't travel left or right. My y is negative 2. So I didn't go anywhere left or right. Since y is negative, y tells me up and down, negative y tells me down 2. So there's where that point would be. It would be on the y-axis, down 2. And then the last one, 5, negative 4. So my x is positive 5, so I'll go to the right 5. Once I get there, my y is negative 4, so I'll go down 4. Again, starting at the origin, right? 5, down 4. So that's where the D would be. This is a multiple choice problem, so you're just going to have to find the A, B, C, or D that goes with what you have drawn out there. Okay. Number 7. Seven, 8, and 9 are all going over the same skill. What it's going to do is it's going to give me an ordered pair and ask me if it's a correct solution to the equation that it's also going to give me. So on number 7, it says determine whether the given point is a solution of the equation. I've got negative 2, negative 15. So there's the point. It wants to know, is this point a solution of y equals 5x minus 8? If this point is a solution of this equation, what that's telling me is if I graphed this shape, which happens to be a straight line, would it cross through this point on the graph or not? The way that you can find that without going anywhere near a graph is say, okay, well, this is an ordered pair, which means that's its x, that's its y. So go to the equation and replace the x and y with those numbers. So let's do that part first. So instead of y, I'm going to put negative 15 in place of the y. Equals 5 times, instead of x, I'll put negative 2. Bring down the minus 8. If this is a solution to this equation, whenever I simplify both sides of that equal sign, they should be the same number. Okay, this one's already all the way simplified, so I'm just going to bring it down, negative 15. Now let's do the math over here. 5 times negative 2 gives me negative 10. Bring down the minus 8. So I've still got some simplifying to do. I'll bring down the negative 15. Over here, negative 10 minus 8. If you do not like adding and subtracting with positives and negatives in your head, please use your calculator and type in exactly what that says. That's a negative 10, then minus 8. So be careful when you are punching in, right? Negative 10, the negative is below the 3. So there's your negative 10. Then the minus 8. So that's what it should look like. And then hit enter, which gives you negative 18. Which means this is not a true statement. This is not, because these two things do not equal, it is not a solution to this equation. And it's not because when negative 2 is substituted for x and negative 15 is substituted for y, it makes a false equation, a false statement, because negative 15 does not equal negative 18. All right, number 8 is the same kind. This time, the point is at 2, 7. And the equation is 4x minus y equals 1. So here's my x and y. I'm going to replace the x with 2, the y with 7, and see if it makes a true statement. So let's see, I'll have 4 times, instead of x, I'll put 2 minus, in place of y, I'll put 7 equals 1. Let's see, if I do the math over here, 4 times 2 gives me 8 minus 7 equals 1. Well, yeah, 8 minus 7 is 1, which does equal 1, which means, yes, this is a solution to that equation. All right, let's look at number 9, the last one like this. So instead of using x and y, this one uses a and b. Same thing. This is just going to be your a, b instead of x, y. So let's replace the a with 0 and the b with 5, 6. So 5 times 0 plus 6 times, replacing the b with 5, 6 equals 5. So let's simplify this side to see if it really does equal the other side, which is just 5. So this part's not too bad. 5 times 0, anything times 0 is 0. Now that multiplication of fractions is actually not too bad because this 6 is just going to cancel out that one. But let's say yours is a little bit worse when you're doing yours at home. Remember, we've got this calculator, we might as well put it to use. I think one of the biggest benefits of this calculator is it does any kind of fraction work you want for you. So I just want to tell it to do this 6 times 5, 6. So I'll just type it in. And when you do an open parenthesis in this calculator, it's going to tell it to times, just like that saying times. So let's see, I'll do 6. And then open parenthesis. Then I want to put in 5, 6. Now remember, the fraction bar of a fraction is just a division symbol. So 5 divided by 6, then close, enter. That gives you 5. So 6 times 5, 6. And like I said, that 6 is just essentially canceling out that one. So I have plus, bringing down that 5. 0 plus 5 is 5 equals 5. So that one, again, that one is a solution because when you replace A with 0 and B with 5, 6, it gives a true equation. All right, number 10. An equation and 2 ordered pairs are given. Show that each pair is a solution to the equation first, and then use the graph of the 2 points to determine another solution. Okay, so here's the equation, y equals x minus 3. And it wants us to show that these 2 points, 2, negative 1, and 1, negative 2, are both solutions to that first. So that's going to be the first part of it. So let's see. That's my x and y, a whole other point, x and y. So let's prove that both of these are solutions to this. So in place of y, I'll put negative 1 equals, in place of x, I'll put 2 minus 3. So let's just show that both of these are equal. Bring down that negative 1, and 2 minus 3 is negative 1. So yes, that one's true. Let's do the same thing with this other one. In place of this y, this time, I'm going to put the negative 2 equals, this time in place of x, I'll put 1 minus 3. So let's see, bringing down this negative 2, and 1 minus 3 really is negative 2. So yes, that one is true also. Now it's going to want you to graph that, which I'll share my screen and show you how to do that in MathLab here in just a second. But I want to show you the very last part of this is going to ask you to find another point. So go ahead and go, if you have your calculator out, go to the y equals. I already put it in there from last class. And clear, if there's anything here, clear it out. And I'm going to put in that x minus 3. Here's why you always, this is why we practice that solving for y. You always want the y by itself like it is. And then you just put in your calculator what's on the other side. So that x minus 3 is what I'm wanting to put in. This is the button that will make your x. So hit that button and then minus 3. Now let's graph it just to see what it's going to graph. See, first of all, what shape it's going to make. So it makes a straight line. Okay, we're going to graph this in MathLab in just a second. But before we do that, I want to show you that in your calculator, because the very last part of this question is going to say, use this graph. So see, what this proved is that this line went through the point 2, negative 1, and it also went through the point 1, negative 2. So 2, negative 1, so right 2 and down 1 would be about right there. And then, what was the other one? 1, negative 2 will be right there. So it does pass through those 2 points. The last part of this says, okay, now use your graph to find another point that it goes through. Sometimes it's not, I mean, it's hard to tell exactly where points are going through. So use this, hit the second button, and then you're going to hit this graph button again. The blue function that we're getting to by hitting this second button is saying, okay, show me the table of points that make that graph. So you can pick any one of these points as another point that that line goes through. See, there's your 2, -1, your 1, -2, like we showed. It does go through those 2 points. It also goes through all these other points. Up and down. You can choose any one you want. It goes through all those points. Okay. Now, I'm going to do another one. Let me share my screen. Oh, not that. I'm going to stop sharing and then share it again because I think it won't. Okay, so do you now see where it says 2.1 support for section college algebra 2.1 with a problem? Can y'all see it? Somebody unmute yourself and say yes or no.
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, good. So it's just like the problem that I just worked. Okay. Oh, it's exactly. Oh, we got lucky. So it's the exact same problem that I just worked, right? Y = x - 3 with 2 -1 and 1 -2. So I would click, because so it's the work that we already did. There's the yes. So you come down here to final check. Nice work. Is 1 -2 a solution? We already did that part. So yes, it is. Okay, here's the point where I wanted to get. Okay, now it's going to ask us to plot those 2 points. So here's how you're going to do that in MATLAB. You're going to click to enlarge graph. So now you'll see your graph. The very first thing you're going to have to do when you are graphing in MATLAB, which is why it's a good idea to graph it in your calculator first, is you're going to have to tell MATLAB what shape are you trying to graph. So this is your toolbox of shapes right here. So you would tell it that you wanted to graph this one right here. That's going to make all lines. So you would just click line. Now, look when I'm moving my cursor around this graph up in that yellow box, it's telling me where my cursor is on the graph. So the first thing I want to do is go to the point 2. So right 2, down 1. And these graph lines are really kind of small. And sometimes it's hard to look exactly what you're graphing, but look up in that yellow rectangle at the top. It's telling me in the right-hand side of that rectangle exactly where my cursor is. So it's on 2, -1. So I'll just left click my mouse to drop that point. So now it says click the other graph, the other point, which was 1, -2. So you notice once I'm moving all around, it's making crazy lines everywhere until I tell it to stop. So I need to go 1, -2. Again, if you're not sure, look up in that yellow rectangle. I'm on 1, -2. Hit your mouse button again. Once you hit, since you've already told it that you want it to be a line and not some more complicated shape, once you hit that second point, it's going to connect them to draw the line. Then you'll just click save and then check your answer. Excellent. Okay. And then it's going to ask you to use the graph to see if use the graph to see if -1, -4 is a solution. So there's -1, -4. It is a solution, but again, you also have that table, right, that we started here. And I can also look in the table. If it's in the table of that graph, then it's going through that point. Okay, So again, so yes, it was a solution that you can tell by looking, and if it's not for sure, then just use your table on your calculator. Okay, let's do, let me see what number it was. All right, I'm going to go to number 11, and I'm going to show you what it is on here first. And then I'm going to stop sharing and show you how you can do that in your calculator and then come back and share again. So my thing is y equals x plus 4. What's the problem? Okay, what I'm going to do is, remember, it's going to be the same, and it just says to graph this. It's not asking me if stuff's on it. It's not giving me points to check. It says graph that. So luckily for us, the y is already by itself. So I can go straight to my y equals on my calculator and put in x plus 4. So again, you're going straight to y equals. Clear out your last one. So just hit clear. And type in x plus 4. Again, this is your x button. And then just hit plus 4. So remember, the very first thing that's always going to ask you in Math Lab is, what shape are you trying to draw? So go ahead and hit graph. It's going to be another line. Now, after you hit the line tool in that toolbox, to graph the line, it's gonna make you plot 2 points. Okay, so that's when you're gonna want to go second table. And then choose any one of those you want. Actually, 2 of them, right? So I'll just use that one I'm on, -3, 1, and then I'll use the one right below it, -2, 2. So those are going to be the 2 points I'm going to plot, -3, 1. And -2, 2. Those are both points on this line. Okay, so let's go back to Math Lab. Click to enlarge graph. Choose a tool. So I'm telling it it's going to be a line. Click the graph to plot the first point on your line. So my points that I'm choosing to plot are, the first one's -3, 1. So left, three, up, 1. Look at where I am. The only way I could possibly in the world tell that I am at -3, 1 is by looking in that yellow rectangle. Okay, because you'll notice on this graph, it looks like each hash mark, the hash marks are going by 2s. So it's real hard to determine. I need to look up in that yellow rectangle. So -3, 1, click. And then the other point is -2, 2. So -2, 2. Again, I'm just up there looking in that yellow box. Enter. Save. Okay. All right, let's go to the next one. Oh, already did. Y equals X, just plain Y equals X. Again, it's just graphing lines. So on this one, I'll just go to my Y equals and just put X, right? Go back to Y equals. Clear it. And it's just an X this time. Let's graph it, make sure that we're still doing lines. So it's a straight line. I need some points. So second table. Well, doesn't this make sense? Look at every single one. Doesn't the Y equal to X? The Y equals to X. The Y equals to X. That's what that's saying, right? Y equals X. Whatever X is, Y is. So you can choose any 2 points from that table, and every single point, the y equals to x. So again, I'll click to enlarge graph, and it looks like this graph is going to be teeny tiny. Tell it you want it to be a line. I'm choosing my first point to be 0, 0, because that was a point. Since y and the x are the same, 0, 0 is a good point. So click there. And then I chose my other point to be 5, 5. It makes no difference. So over 5, up 5. So again, there's the 0.55 and click enter there. Save it, check it. Okay, let's do a few more. Let's look at number 13. Y equals 6 minus 4x. Same process. Go to your y equals. Clear out whatever's left in there. This one I'm going to put in 6 minus 4x. So just 6 minus 4. Remember, there's your x. And then graph it. So again, it's a line. And every time you're graphing, if you're just graphing a line in Math Lab, you're just going to need 2 points. So second table, pick any of the ones you want. I'm going to do 0, 6, and 1, 2. Those are both points on the line. 0, what did I say? 6 and 1, 2. All right, let's go back to Math Lab and plot those points. Click to enlarge graph. You can either click to enlarge graph here, or this one also enlarges it. Let me show you the only difference that happens there. So it still enlarges it. It just puts the toolbox down here instead of over on the right side. You can actually make your graph even bigger, so that might even work better. So my toolbox is down here. So there's going to tell me it's a line. Now you can still, if you scroll down here, this down here, if you use the magnifying glass, this is where it's going to tell you where your cursor is. Instead of up in the yellow box, it'll be down here at the bottom. It's the same process though. So let's see, we said 0, 6. So 0, then down 6. Oh, 0, positive 6, excuse me. Oh, where I got negative. 0, 6 would obviously be up 6. So I'm at 0, 6. And click there. And the other one was 1, 2. So let's see. To the right 1, up 2. So you'll notice down on the bottom left of the graph, you can see I'm at 1, 2. So hit another. And then your save is up here. What'd I do? Oh, why did it click the whole thing? Oh. Oh, I did save the whole thing. Okay, so there it entered that right there was that line. Okay. All right, I'm going to do one more. The rest of 14, 15, and 16 are all exactly the same. So I'm going to jump to 16. They are the exact same process. As the other one. So I'm just going to do this one. Y equals -4/3 x minus 2. So same process. Go to your y equals. Clear it out. Now I need to type in that fraction. Remember, a fraction is just that fraction bar is just going to be a division symbol. So 4 divided by 3. So there's your 4/3. Then your x. And then minus 2. Let's graph it. Make sure it's a line. All the ones in this support section are going to be straight lines in your table. And here's why it's a good thing to have a table function, because look, MATLAB's not even going to let you plot points like this. Okay, this table automatically gives you, gives you all the points. So you're going to want to choose good points that are whole numbers, right? So let's choose this top one, which is -3, -6, and then jump down to this one, 0, -2. Okay. So I'm going to click to enlarge on this over here. Like it better. So I need to tell it to be a line. So my first one is at -3, -6. So left 3, down 6. So again, since I clicked over on the click to enlarge graph on the left, it made my point be up in that yellow rectangle. That's the only difference between using that or the magnifying glass, is where it's going to put. Whoops. So -3, -6. Drop that point, and then 0, -2. So 0, go down 2. There's 0, -2. Save it. And check it. Uh-oh. What did I do wrong? Do y'all see what I did wrong? Look at the problem and then look at what I wrote on the board. What did I not put? That right there. It said -4/3 x instead of 4/3 x. So if you put -4/3 x here, which is what I need to do, it's obviously going to give me a different graph with a different table. So those points are not on the line because it's -4/3 x. I'm going to show you how to correct it on your graph. So let's see some points that are on the line. Are -3, 2. And 0, -2. So let's plot these points. So I'm going to go back. It's frozen. Yeah. Okay. So -4/3 x minus 2. So I'm going to go back to click to enlarge graph because that one's wrong. Now I'm just going to clear my graph. Clear it. Clear all objects. Yes. And I'm just going to start all over. Tell it you want to draw the line. Put the point at -3, 2. So -3, 2 for that point, and then 0, -2 for the other point, and then save it. So do you see how even though I got it wrong, it let me come in and it's still going to give me another chance. So then check answer, and it gives you full credit. So even if you get it wrong the first time, it gives you full credit once you go back in there and do it again. So now look what I want to show you a couple other things before we stop. This hamburger or these 3 lines over here, that homework overview. If I click on that, all the ones that I have worked and gotten right will have green X's. Okay, Molly, I'm about to show it to you. So this right here, all the ones I have right, I have green X's. If I have something wrong, I can actually go back into it. That one I had something wrong. Oh yeah, because I didn't finish it. On this one, I didn't finish, and it's going to let me go back in there and redo it. So let me show you something. So I'm going to get this one wrong a few times to just show that it's okay. So I just clicked E, check answer. It's not right. Look, it still is giving me the same problem. So then I'm going to say, okay, I think it's A. So I'll just change it. Still come down here to check answer. Still not right. If I get it wrong the 3rd time, now instead of saying check answer down at the bottom, it says final check. This is when, you want to try and be as sure as you can, but even if you get it wrong, so I click final check, it's still not wrong. Look what it gives you the option to do. So let's say I'm tired of this one. I don't want to work this one right now. So I'm just going to go to the next question. But if I come back over here and click on these 3 lines and say, okay, oh man, I got number 1 wrong. I need to go back to it. Down here, it showed me the last answer that I put, but what the answer should have been. Down here, it says similar question. If I click that, watch the actual question. It's going to be the same kind of question, just it's going to be similar, right? So this one was false. The correct answer should have been false. This one right here, right? It's false because the point is on an axis and not in a quadrant. So that's what it should have been. So I go to C and check answer. Now it's right. So when I look at my homework overview, it doesn't have the red X next to it anymore. So that's what I was talking about, how you can just keep going back to that homework overview. If any of your homework has a red X next to it, click on it, click similar question, and work it again until you get it right. So here's what I'm going to do. All right, so Molly asked, where are you seeing -3, 2 on the table? I'm seeing it. So make sure you have the right thing in y equals, because remember I had the wrong thing first. Now I went in and put that -4/3 x minus 2. So when I go to second table, that very first one is that -3, 2 that I used. And remember, I can use any of these points just as long as they're whole numbers, since I'm graphing in MATLAB. Okay, so now That's all I'm going to cover today. From here on out, what I'm going to do for the support part of the class is preload the all right, can y'all see my course content now? Oh, wait, not yet.
No, I can't see.
Okay, hang on,
Anything.
sorry. So now, I'm going to, now my college algebra lectures will be live for everybody to view, to watch me do all the work live. My support lectures, there's not a support for every section. I'm going to preload them pre-recorded into this weekly content folder. The only reason I didn't do it today is because I wanted to go ahead and get it started. But from now on, I'm going to put only the support videos will be in the weekly folders ahead of time so that you can pre-watch them. And then you only need to stay for the support section if you have any questions. And your questions can be on college algebra content or support content. If when we are done with the college algebra lecture from 12:15 to 1:30, and you've already done the support work for it because you've already watched the video and done the support work, and some support sections are very short and very sweet. Okay, this one was one of the actually one of the longer ones. If you've already done the support work for that section, then you don't need to stay for the support part from 1:40 to 2:30 unless you're having issues with something. So I think we will get a lot more done in that support section. Some of you aren't going to need it. But for those of you who want more one-on-one, then that's when you can come to that support section and ask me questions. You can unmute yourself, you can ask in chat, and then I can just work specific problems that you're having trouble with. Does that make sense? I think so.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, so good. I think that will just give me time to really help more students that need the more help in the support part. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is and I'm going to go back to share real quick. So I'm going to add another Zoom link over here. So one will say college algebra Zoom link. So that'll be the college algebra lecture that I'm not going to preload videos. Now, after I teach the lesson, record it and turn it into a YouTube video, I will put it in this weekly folder. So it's eventually going to be there. It's not going to be there before class. Okay. So I'm going to have a college algebra link, and then I'm right below it, I'm going to put support link. So that way it's kind of separated out into two separate things. First of all, for the students that aren't enrolled in support, they just come to that college algebra lecture. So what I'm going to do on Wednesday is start off with just college algebra Zoom link is where you'll start. Once I'm done with that lecture at 1:30, I'm going to stop that Zoom, and then I'll start the support Zoom, and you only need to click on that support Zoom if you need help with that section. Okay. Okay, so I will do that before Wednesday. So you'll see two separate Zoom links, one college algebra and then one support. The support videos will be preloaded. Then you can come to the support Zoom link if you have questions, and that way I can help who needs help. Okay, all right. If you have any questions, unmute or ask in chat. And if not, I will see y'all on Wednesday.
Thank you.
All right. See y'all Wednesday.
Bye.
Bye.